But what was incredibly surprising and made for very, very interesting reading was that by consuming 2 or more glasses a day of a diet drink, an artificially sweetened drink, you increase your risk of dying by circulatory disease by over 50%. Hello and welcome to A Doctor's View, a podcast looking at everyday health topics and life through a doctor's eyes. Please note that all opinions are my own and should not replace the advice given to you by your own doctor. I'm Dr. Bolivios. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to Doctor's View. I'm Dr. Bolivios. What I'm going to talk today is about fizzy drinks, in particular soft drinks, and also going into diet drinks. The reason why I decided to talk about this is because it's been quite topical recently, and I noticed a newspaper headline a couple of weeks ago, and it showed that there was new studies, and I wanted to talk about that and some of the health implications involved in drinking some of these diet drinks and also some of the regular soft drinks that we know and love. So why is this important? Well, we know that in the past studies have been done which has demonstrated that obesity is a leading risk factor for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, some cancers, including things like renal, gallbladder, esophageal cancers, and sugary drinks are a culprit for helping fuel obesity. They are very high calorific intake, they are very little to no nutritional value, and we can consume quite a lot of them in a very short space of time. Also, there are newer drinks on the market, mainly things like energy drinks, which have high caffeine content and a very high sugar content to help increase people's energy. And this has soared over the years. Now, I believe there's been some research that shows that in the UK at least, the number of fizzy drinks consumed by children has decreased a little over the last few years, but the amount is still high. Now, whilst we know that fizzy drinks and sugary drinks have been associated with some health problems in the past, we haven't really known to the extent, especially in Europe. And that's where this new study has come in. And it's been a study in September of 2019. And it's been what seems to be the largest one that I can find, and also the most recent, which has tried to help establish a link between sugary drinks, diet drinks, and the increased risk of dying, or the higher likelihood of dying early as a consequence of these drinks, and also what type of medical conditions people are developing after drinking these fizzy drinks over a long period of time. So this study was carried out by a very large group of researchers from a range of different institutions all across Europe, and it was led by the International Agency of Research on Cancer in France. And what it did was it took a huge number of people. They recruited a huge number of people, over 500,000 people from 10 different European countries, and they were asked to fill out questionnaires about what they ate and drank, and that included soft drinks. They also had questionnaires about their health and lifestyle choices. Now, the researchers didn't include everyone, not all the 500,000, that 520,000 to be more precise. They didn't include everyone who had cancer, heart disease, or some pre-existing medical conditions. And so in total, this left over 450,000 participants, 71% of whom were women. And these participants were followed up several years later to assess, to see how their health was doing. Now, what the findings were made a quite astonishing reading. The authors divided the different health problems that they found and established a risk factor associated with the amount of drinks that they drank, different sugary drinks and also dietary drinks as well. And what they found was that neither the sugary drinks nor the artificially sweetened drinks, the diet drinks, actually had any significance with regards to cancers. This is what they found. And however, this is where the story then changes. What they did find was that with circulatory diseases, things like heart attacks and strokes and things that involve the blood system, the circulation. Now, surprisingly, looking at these results here, their findings were that by having a regular sugar sweetened drink, even greater than or equal to 2 glasses a day, It didn't actually increase the circulatory disease risk of dying of a circulatory disease risk by a significant amount. It was actually a statistically insignificant value. But what was incredibly surprising and made for very, very interesting reading was that by consuming 2 or more glasses a day of a diet drink, an artificially sweetened drink, you increase your risk of dying by circulatory disease by over 50%. That is an astonishing number, and one which I really wasn't expecting to read at all. The study then goes on to show that in terms of digestive diseases, the artificially sweetened drinks actually didn't really increase your risk, but the sugar sweetened drinks did, again by over 50%, and in some cases, in women's cases, over 60%. And so again, that's quite an interesting statistic too. Overall, when you looked at the total number of soft drinks, both the sugary drinks and the artificially sweetened drinks, you had approximately a 20-25% chance of dying from one of these medical problems if you drink more than or equal to 2 glasses a day. This did go down the less you drank, with less than 1 glass a month being the baseline that they were using. That was the standard that they were comparing against. Now, one of the main reasons why I wanted to start doing this podcast was to actually be able to try and go a little bit beyond the headlines. So, whilst it's very easy to look at this and go, yes, sugary drinks are incredibly bad, diet drinks are incredibly bad, yes, common sense would suggest that that this is the case. And in actual fact, this study is pretty compelling in that sense. But I have to say, from a balanced argument, it's not without its limitations. We know in the past that sugary drinks contribute to people becoming overweight and increased chance of type 2 diabetes by causing the sugar spikes in the blood when they're consumed, and so forth. This study, it's a huge study. 450,000, 451,000 participants. This is a massive study, and should be credited for that. And I'm in no way taking away from these results. I just have to give a balanced view of it. It does have some limitations, and by that we have to treat the results with some level of caution. Firstly, it's a cross-sectional study, and what that means is we only know what people are eating and drinking at one point in time. So what that essentially means is while the researchers tried to account for a range of potential factors that might contribute to these results, so things like their weight at the time, their smoking habits, dietary habits, we don't know how things have changed over time during the course of this study. And so there may be other factors that could be affecting the results. And so for that reason, we can't say that soft drinks caused the higher death rates. All we can really say is that there is an association at the moment with having the more than 1 to 2 glasses and then greater than 2 glasses a day of a soft drink increases your risk of dying early by so much. And we can also say that those that had more diet drinks increased their risk of dying from a cardiovascular cause by 50%, going by the data that we have. There are other possibilities as well, and that which could explain this, and that is that people who drank the diet drinks more often could be because they were more concerned about their weight to begin with, may have had other lifestyle health concerns too, so switch from the sugary drinks to what they thought were healthier options. So again, there might be other things that have caused these cardiovascular problems. So what I mean by that is, these people that chose the dietary drinks were already less healthy than those who drank the sugary drinks at the start. Now, the authors do also point out at one point that this study also found some significant association between soft drinks and Parkinson's disease death rates, but they do mention that they must go on to do further studies to establish a proper link with that. And to the author's credit, they acknowledged that there are limitations to this study and there might be some confounding issues. So whilst we shouldn't just panic about these headlines that we've read, we also can't ignore that such a large study has shown this association. Now, it might be that when further studies are done in the past, we get a more clearer picture and a more definitive thing. But like I said, we can't ignore this. These numbers haven't just been plucked from thin air. They've come from a specific association. Yes, there are limitations. But what this study has done, at least I believe it's done, is it has now paved the way to put a lot more funding and also to put a lot more research into this. Because if, when further studies are done, I'm sure there will be or are being done as we speak, if when those results come out, they echo the same results as this study, and they've done further to limit the amount of other factors that could be involved. And they found not only a statistically significant association between sugary drinks and diet drinks and certain conditions and early mortality, but also the fact that it has to be that and nothing else that's caused it, then this study has to be credited. It's absolutely fantastic that such a big research has been done for it. One thing which I forgot to mention earlier is actually that the study actually mentioned glasses. They use 250 mils as a glass. A can is 330. So it's just food for thought too. And so, as with everything in life, it's with moderation. If you're finding yourself having more than a can a day or a can or so a day, try and cut back, be it dietary or a diet drink or a sugary drink. Try and replace it with water, a herbal tea, something a little bit more healthy. And as I've said before, the main point of this is not just to put the message out there, to try and that this research is being done and it could be very, very credible in terms of the findings, but also just to look beyond the headlines that you see in tabloids. And sometimes if you go into the research a little bit more, there are doubts. As with most things in science, there are always doubts until it can be conclusively proven. But this is definitely a step in the right direction for a study like this. So with that, I'll leave you. This has been a short podcast this week, as it's been a very, very busy week. And please do subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Dr. Bolivios and leave a comment in iTunes. You can leave a comment on my website at doctorsview.uk. And also you can contact me at adoctorsview@gmail.com. Please email me any questions you have if you'd like me to cover a topic, and I'll do my very best to make sure that I do. As always, please look after yourselves. I'm Dr. Bolivios. Goodbye.